Hello and welcome to the second episode of In Depth with me, Darren Manning, and my good friend Brett. You all good this week, Brett?
Always good, mate. Always good. You?
You look a bit tired tonight, mate. You sure you're going to get
Mate,
through this one?
very tired, mate. It's been a long old week. It's only Wednesday.
So tonight we've got Concord Rangers head of recruitment Adam Drew on. So we'll be going through
Yeah.
some bits with Adam on National League, the situation at the moment, and then touching on his quite unique role within Concord Rangers, being head of recruitment, which is going to be a bit different to see what he gets up to and what his sort of remit is and how he goes about things. So it could be an interesting one, and yeah, let's get him in and let's get grilling him. Right, Adam. First things first. What the hell's going on in the National League South at the moment? Does anyone actually know?
No, no,
Not done. Case
mate.
closed.
What? Yeah, that's it. Conversation over, mate. What a mess. What a mess. Probably bore everyone because everyone probably knows the first bit. We originally started. You boys obviously restarted, didn't you? With crowds back to normal. Uh, we were under the proviso that we would start with grants from the government. They split 11 million quid between the clubs, roughly. The idea was we were getting grants at the start, which we did no fans, which the no fans thing is another conversation we can come on to. That was going to run until December. So I think we got the first 3 months funding. We played all of our games. End of January was the next payment. Obviously hasn't come to fruition. So basically, the
So was
National
that January
League.
payment in the original plan that you was meant to get one in the January then?
So from what I'm led to believe, the first 3 months were covered.
Yeah.
And then it was grants moving forward or fans. Now,
And
I
this is
think
where
the
they've
National
swapped it to a
League,
loan, isn't it?
yeah. So I think what's happened in a roundabout way, the National League have gambled that after 3 months, fans were going to be back, the grants weren't going to be required, everyone was happy, we're back in it. So now what they're saying is it's not grants, it's loans. And obviously, who in their own mind is going to take a loan to finish the season? Now, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'd need to speak to Uncle Ant about that. But I think the rates are very low and favourable to teams. But
It's not the point, is it? It's not the
it's
point.
not the point. Exactly, it's not the point. So obviously, that they come up with the most complicated way of voting ever seen to man.
I've seen that, and it makes no sense.
How good makes one of us, mate? Two of us. So we're all in limbo, really. So we sat down with Ant about a couple of weeks ago. He in contact with me and scoped it the whole time. And he said, right, what I believe is we should take a 2-week break. We find out about the fun. He never said he wasn't going to play football, so we got a lot of Twitter. We got a bashing on Twitter, didn't we, and social media about.
Do you remember?
Oh, mate, Concord want to stop. They don't want to carry on. They're low near the bottom. There'll be no relegation anyway. So Ant said to us, right, we want to play football, but let's have a 2-week break. We'll find out about the funding. More importantly, we'll find out about the testing. Now, the testing for me was really important. Now, when COVID was really kicking in, and you probably knew more people who had COVID than you didn't.
Yeah, like I had it. I got it.
Yes. And I know you were rough as well, weren't you? Because we had that conversation. So I actually missed the game. So I said to Ant, this is the other thing that puzzles me. So we had a positive COVID test. We played Billericay on the Saturday. We had a positive COVID test on the Tuesday. Won the league and said, right, he was in our changing room on the Saturday. So he went for his test. I think he got the NHS app, tracked him on Sunday and said, you need to go for it. He went for a test Monday morning, was positive Tuesday, right? So less than 36 hours after he was in our changing room, league called us low risk. Okay, fine. The following Tuesday, exactly low risk. So we were low risk, which I couldn't really get my head around, but we went with it. The following Tuesday, we were playing Ebbsfleet. Tuesday morning, another player came down with COVID. So we had 2 positive cases in 9 days. So I said to Ant, look, I'm really uncomfortable about this, It's no secret. I don't earn any money for football. I do it totally for nothing. I run a business as well, and I said to him, like, I feel really uncomfortable. I'm going to go into a changing room. We might all be positive. We don't know.
You don't know, do you?
I just said, look, I can't risk it. I don't want to do it. So the testing was a big thing for me, which now they've introduced. So going back to this sort of 2-week break, the league have now told us that we're going to get regular testing, and we've already paid for some anyway. So
This is what I wanted to ask you, like, because I think that's brilliant from Ant that he was willing to do that. But now you're saying, so the league are actually providing it now.
So the league were going to do it, but we haven't had any of them yet. So Ant's funded a few weeks, so we're getting tested twice a week. That's fine. Grants haven't been forthcoming, so he sat down me and Scopes and said, look, we've probably got this amount of money that we're going to need to get through to the end of the season, but the budget's going to have to take a massive blow. So the most important thing in this is Rangers. It's Arby's the most important thing at the end of this situation. So we said, look, we'll work with whatever you're going to give us, mate. Like, no issues. We'll crack on. We'll get a squad.
Yeah.
And that's what we were going to do. So our whole plan was to carry on playing. We just wanted to know the ins and outs before we voted. Now, obviously, you've seen the majority of the votes. Now, the Norths, I was going to swear them, the Norths done, isn't it?
None of them, they've all said no.
90% of the teams have voted to void it. Quite a few of the South teams have voted to carry on, but I think it's combined. I couldn't really work it out. I'm not Carol Alderman.
Is it combined with the National League as well?
To be honest, I haven't got my head around it yet, but I think we get X amount of votes. The Prem get. I think what's going to happen is we're going to be done.
They'll carry on.
And the league and the National League are going to carry on. Now, you're going to ask me about this elite tag. Now, I don't feel very elite when I'm playing
that
5
famous
hours
elite tag.
coach journey for nothing, right? Get it? I get it with the National League. I understand that they want to try and keep this elite tag because of the Football League promotion.
Yeah,
I totally understand. But the North and South, let's be honest.
I think that's the pinnacle of non-elite.
Non-elite, 100%.
And then I feel because from the National League you can go into the Football League, that's like, I don't even know if that's elite. I'd say that's still borderline to a degree, because I feel elite football is when you go into the Football League. Because if not, then you're sort of classing League 2 and the National League as a similar level. Do you know what I mean? So
but the only thing is, there's not many not many part-time teams in the National League.
Yeah. Now, there used to be loads in there, but nowadays it's majority full-time, isn't they?
Majority is full-time. So in effect, it is their full-time job. And don't get me wrong, we've got 4 or 5 full-time sides in our league, but majority of them are.
I want to get onto that question in a minute as well.
So I understand the National League's outlook on the elite thing. But really, it should probably have just been. We'll call it the National Prem.
Yeah.
Left us alone, because we're not. Let's be honest, we're not elite, are we? Like, elite means you're the top of your profession. Yeah. Am I at the top of my profession at Concord Rangers? No, we're not, are we? No, we're a great little club in Essex, and I'm not an elite fan. Are we done? Probably. I was going to ask you guys the same. You didn't really see much different because you started with fans. We started without fans and probably had the biggest game in the club's history without fans. Mm-hmm. Now, when we beat Howes Owen to reach Wembley, which, let's be honest, probably never happened again in my lifetime, and you still think to yourself that we did that, and
you're still waiting to play that game as well.
Still waiting to play the final. We won, and at the end of the game, you turn around and there's like.
It's a ghost town, yeah.
It was a ghost town, and we Wembley. Now, the best week we had, we played Bath on the Tuesday, we played Eastbourne on the Saturday, and it was the one week that we had crowd.
Fans, yeah.
We won in the last minute against Bath, 3-2, and we drew at home to Eastbourne, and we probably won late on. We wouldn't have won that game without fans. The playing with no fans, although you sort of get used to it when the game kicks off and you're in the moment, it's dire, it's dire. I mean, we got to the FA Cup first round. We played Stevenage. I mean, they're up our end. probably would have had 1,500 people. We turn up with a cameraman and steward. Do you know what I mean? It just
It's a whole
takes
different
everything
dynamic. Innit?
away from
It's a total
why
different
we do it.
dynamic, isn't it? And like you said,
Yeah.
we was quite lucky because, yeah, we had fans, but we also probably had inflated gates as well. Because no one could go and watch football anywhere else at one point. We was probably the
Cool.
highest level around that you could, well, the Bostik or the Ishmael Prem was the highest level you could go and watch fans at.
Yeah.
So we had a big
100%.
overfill. We was getting like 300. That's unheard of, a whole bit. You normally get like 4 men and a dog.
Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't notice any difference, but
We'll
it
be
was
lucky
always going to come. Sorry, Greg.
I was just saying, we'd be lucky to get the dog to come and watch us.
We'd be happy with 2 dogs at Concord.
But yeah, we didn't see much change in that front because it all changed and we were sort of back to normal to a degree. And with all this, the playing stuff, I really had a bit of a rant on Twitter when we were told we couldn't play, and it was all down to because the secondary, we weren't allowed bars and stuff open. And that's when it comes down to like what you guys have done, where you've just said, right, this is what we've got, this is what we can do, let's run with it. It seemed like our level stopped because they couldn't earn money.
Yeah.
And it totally, for me, that's wrong. If, like they said after that, we stopped because of the lockdown and because of health reasons, whole 1,000,000%, I totally agree with that. But when we stopped and it was there and it was all revolving around money and the secondary incomes of clubs, but then those clubs that said they didn't want to play were then happy as Larry to go and play in the FA Trophy that following week. I just felt there was a lot of hypocrites at our level when it comes to that. And I know it's totally different to your level because you're sort of just, there's the hand you've been dealt from day one in a way. But that was my feeling around it. Yeah, because of health free, if they said we're stopping because of the uprising cases over the region that the league's in, 1,000,000% will stop. But don't say we're going to stop because of the secondary incomes. I thought that was wrong the way they handled that at our level because it made it that the game was a business rather than health and football.
Yeah.
That's for me, that didn't sit right. That's why we abstained from the vote. We said we're not voting on that because it's not a valid vote. If you're asking us to, if we want to stop because of health reasons, yeah, but we're not voting on secondary incomes. Because
I mean, you guys haven't heard a bean, have you? Really? I mean, you still lot. Saturday we signed 4 last week, and one of them played Saturday. Who hadn't played since October. Now, you've still got another probably 4 or 5 weeks before you would even get that plan anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I can't. You boys continuing? Can you? Like, you look at Bury in your division. They've played 4 games.
Yeah, we've played 5 league games. And
Yeah.
we're meant to get 33 games in about 2 months. It don't make sense because you've got to think our league, like the Trident League or whatever they want to call themselves, they pick and choose when they use that term now, because sometimes the Northern Prem goes off and does what it wants, and then they just follow suit. So we they put a little statement out saying that after Boris's announcement on the 22nd, and they know more, they'll then make a decision. They've also said we'll have 2 to 3 weeks before we play a game. So even if on the 22nd Boris says yes, you can play football, back to sort of how we was with the limited amount of fans and stuff, they're probably going to take another week to make that decision. So that's the end of Feb. And then you've got 2 or 3 weeks into March before we actually play a game. You're at the end of March.
Yeah.
And then they're saying that you can only go on maximum until the end of June. So you've got like 9 weeks, 10 weeks to get, for us, 33 league games in.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's impossible. It's impossible. So I just don't know why they've not made the decision already, so clubs can start doing their prep for next year regarding pitch-wise and stuff like that. Because I can tell you now, if they'd said that announcement 2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah, it's unrealistic, we're going to carry on, see you all in August. A lot of clubs would have started their pitch renovations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that, especially Scopesy and myself, I mean, literally, no word of a lie, I've not spoken to Scopesy today. That's probably the first time in 2.5 years.
You, doesn't it? That makes a change, doesn't it?
It's probably the first time I haven't spoken to him in 2 and a bit years. I speak to him every day. But the problem we've got is the stop-start is rubbish. And it's the biggest thing. It's the unknown. Are we playing or are we not playing? So we come back on Saturday.
And it's
we
like
get a
you guys
water
at the moment, you're still playing. I'll put that in inverted commas. You're still paying people,
Yeah.
and they're just dragging that on. So they're saying that you're not getting grants anymore, but they're not saying you're stopping. But yet there's this uncertainty around that you might be stopping. So this 2 or 3 weeks where it's dragging on, that can be a hell of a lot of money for some clubs. For you guys,
well,
your budget's about £4.50 in it, so that's probably about 15 quid.
You look at it. You look at it this week. So we played Eastbourne away Saturday. Hadn't trained for 2 weeks, so we put them on furlough. We came back for a session, played the game Saturday. Tuesday was Waterlog pitch. Saturday we're supposed to be playing Chippenham that have said they're not going to be playing. So all of a sudden you've got a week there where we're going to have to pay wages. Nothing's happened, and it's just like, I think our next game is next Monday against Chelmsford. Like, it's the not knowing. So, like coaches today, it's like, do we prepare? Do we not prepare?
Do you train?
Do we not train? So, yeah, I mean, it's the hardest time I've known in football. Just to get a rhythm going and just.
That's the biggest part of football as well, isn't it? Consistency.
Yeah, it's tough.
And so for me, a big positive is that they've said they'll do testing if they carry on.
Yeah, we're already doing it.
I know you guys are. I didn't know it was a thing the league said they'd do.
Yes,
I was about to say to you that with this whole elite status, do you think that has really muddied the water with all the decisions that have been made? And then for me, it's ridiculous that you're classed as elite, but you're not getting the same testing as other elite leagues.
No, we're the only league still playing with no testing.
So that's the bit that got me. Say League 2 get testing
upwards. Yeah.
You guys in the national the National League don't. Which for
me, we're all used to COVID.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How can you be classed as the same as them if you're not getting the same treatment as them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's one of those arguments that we've had, and it hasn't sat right. But we've had to get on with it, and that's what we've done as best we can.
That's what I've said with it all. There's no point even worrying about it anymore in my eyes. Like with us, I'm not worrying about what the decision's going to be. Are we going to play? Are we not going to play? For me, it's going to be whenever they tell us, we'll just try and adapt and go.
The thing is, for you guys, I think it probably helps that you haven't played for so long. You're almost you've forgotten what it's like, and you're expecting it probably to be canned. That's where we've started, we've stopped, we've started. Now then, there's this vote. It's just. We just want a decision. Are we playing to the end of the season? If we are, great, let's crack on. If we're not, can we stop it now so we can? I don't know what I'll do, but start planning for next year.
If the league went right, you're playing and we're testing you all. I don't know if there could be many complaints. Don't get me wrong, the grant side of things, I get that. I do get that, but and this brings me on to the next topic. There's plenty of teams furloughing their players and bringing in new ones anyway. How does that work? Like, what is the guidelines around that? Like with their furloughing, so all these players they're signing, are they now going in free of charge?
I can only assume they're freebies. Now we have furloughed one player,
and you haven't got me on contract though, have you?
No, but we furloughed one player. We spoke to all of the group and we said, right, you've got two choices. You can go on furlough if you're uncomfortable with playing, or you've got to take a big pay cut and carry on playing. Now, 99% of them wanted to carry on playing.
Yeah.
One of them said, I'm not comfortable with playing, with what's going on, the situation. So, we had to do that. So, I don't know many clubs that are furloughing the whole squad and then bringing in players for money. I'm assuming it's a total cost-cutting exercise. I think Billericay have furloughed all their contracted boys, haven't they? And then they've brought in their 23 to
Maidstone have furloughed all of theirs, haven't they? And then Tunbridge said it the other day as well. So they're the only three that I sort of know of that have done it.
Yeah, so I can only assume that it's a total complete exercise because a lot of clubs are saying that they financially just can't carry on, which I understand. I get it. We haven't got
money-driven game, isn't it?
Money-driven. We've had no income. Clubs look at Concord and go, "Oh, you did well out of the ground." Well, we didn't really because from March till March, Ants had no income from any of the the bars and the events that he has at the club, which is where he makes his money. So we didn't do it out of the grant because he's lost so much money previous to that anyway. And sponsors, who wants? Let's be honest, who wants to come on board as a sponsor at the minute?
Yeah,
You've got no one coming through the gate.
Yeah, you don't know, do you? But the last thing for me on the elite tag, do you think some clubs at your level want to pick and choose when their class is elite and not?
It's hard for me to answer that. I'm not sitting on the fence, but I don't.
I know.
I don't know what went on for the playoffs, so I don't know the truth. So obviously there was 4 clubs, however many clubs involved in the playoffs last year. I don't know what those conversations were, so I didn't know if they were those clubs really pushing for this. I get it. If you're at the top of the league, you want to try and win promotion. I generally wouldn't know what those conversations were and if they really pushed the elite, or did the Panorama League want us to carry on to still?
So have you never had a definition of what the elite means at your level?
No, I've never seen one. No.
So because they can just make it up as they go along. Oh no, that's not class. Do you know what I mean? So I thought they would have been right. So this is your now class is elite. This is what it sort of.
Yeah, I can guarantee you, I'm not elite.
I know that. And this sounds bad. I know that. but do you know what I mean? Though I thought they would have said your now class is elite football. This is what we sort of expect from you, or what.
Yeah, no, I've never seen anything like that. I understand the promotion and the relegation. I get it, but from the football league down and up, yes, but not our division.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't really make. Saying it doesn't make sense is probably a bit wrong, because it does make sense to have the flow between the leagues and so on. But like you said, some things are more important, aren't they, than a promotion and relegation.
Definitely, yeah. Look, we've just been through the worst pandemic ever in history that will never happen again in our lifetimes, and we were thrown into the cauldron, carrying on playing. Crazy.
So, last thing on it all, what is your prediction for the next 2 weeks for the National League? What do you think will happen?
I think it'll be voided. Just looking at how many teams.
This is going to come out in about 10 days' time, I reckon. So, This is a good prediction. Mystic Meg over here is saying it's going to be voided.
Meg. Yeah, I think it will be voided.
And then my prediction for our leagues is 2 or 3 days after, ours will be officially voided. So I think ours are waiting for you to make a decision. Then
to decide, yeah, it makes sense. I've heard people saying about, we'll base it last season's results and this season's results for your division, but last season was voided.
Look at Brett praying because he was sitting top of the league.
but last season was voided. You can't then go back on last season and then this season. Look at Barry and that. I mean, they've played 4 games. That just doesn't work, does it? Look, no one wants to be in this situation, right? No one's created this situation, and I think that's what the tough thing is in the National League, is that you had so many of these clubs, like, arguing with each other. I mean, it's not a good situation because no one's caused this ever.
No, you can't. And in a way, I do feel for the people making decisions, because whatever they decide, they're going to get money. It'll be wrong.
By some quarters, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be wrong by some quarters. Right, so enough of that chat. I'm going to hand over to Brett now, because he's got some questions on your role and so on, and how you do things.
Yeah, so basically what I want to touch up upon is obviously when players retire and things like that, they normally have 2 options if they're going to stay in the game. They either go into management or they go into coaching. I wanted to know what made you go down that avenue of what you're doing at the moment, and a little bit more of what actually your role consists of.
So I got into it. It's a long, real boring story, but I'm a massive Southend United fan. So I originally started following Jumpton City with my dad when I was 5, 6. And we used to watch them for about 5 or 6 years, and then he said to me, "Right, let's go and watch professional." We went to watch Southend. So Dad and I used to go home and away Southend all the time. Somehow I got into Southend with what I do with work, and I'm in marketing and print. I got into Southend, and I was there every day and I was doing loads of stuff and I fell out of love with them a little bit. And my mate who lived down the road from me in Malden said, "Why don't you come and watch Malden?" So that was where it's sort of my love for non-league started, really. So I went to watch Malden. Loved it. Like, it grips you, doesn't it? Non-league. It's one of them things. Unless
Once you're in, aren't you?
yeah, once you're in, and being around it, and you're so close to everyone, and it's like family, isn't it? So from there, I did some bit of marketing, and then I helped. I was lucky. Kimball was the gaffer at the time, and I got really well with Kimball and wrote some names at him player wise, and he started to listen, and that was where I sort of started to get into player recruitment and stuff like that. But obviously, Malden tied in with Colchester, so my sort of role that was sort of involving at Malden sort of fell by the wayside. And I'd had these conversations on message with Jody at Haybridge. Now, obviously, Haybridge and Malden were rivals. He said to me, like, "We're looking at moving the club. Would you be interested in a chat?" So I went for a chat and met with him, and I met with Steve Spreadbury and Gary White. And I just said to Jody, "Look, I don't mind doing all the marketing and stuff, but I really want to be more involved with it." Right? And Haybridge at the time, they were struggling really badly in the league. But
Was this when Jody went back in?
he went back, yeah, and he'd been there a little while. And at Christmas, they were struggling. I joined about Christmas time, but there was a lot of work being done behind the scenes. So Steve and Gary had joined Haybridge as chairman and vice chairman. They'd been trying to promote the youth. Jody was trying to sort a lot of stuff out. They didn't really have a big budget. And I went in there, and on Christmas we stayed up on the last day. It was unreal. I was actually I was away on holiday the last game of the season, and we had to win to stay up. And when I landed, when we took off, we were 2-0 down half time. We were dead and buried. We landed, and we'd won 3-2, and we stayed up on the last day.
It was great. On holiday?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I took off, we were 2-0 down, I was broken.
I bet that was an incredible holiday after that, wasn't it?
Thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to go and spend my next 40 games in, Essex Senior League. We stayed up on the last day. It was, it was what a day. But so that's sort of how I got involved with Haybridge. And then at the start, Haybridge has come on so much in the last 5 or 6 years. Like, their progression's been brilliant, like on and off the field. Like, Gary and Steve have done an unbelievable job. So I sat down with Jody, and he was brilliant. Jody was really, really good to me. Like, he gave me a brilliant role in trying to help him recruit, and that was what I'd really sort of wanted to get into. Guy called Mark Ashford, who you guys probably know. He said to me about getting into a bit of scouting and recruitment, because what I looked at for me personally is I look at how many coaches there are out there, and how many coaching roles there are, and you've got to be very, very fortunate to get into one of those positions, because there are so many coaches. So I thought, if I did scouting and a bit like that, there's obviously a lot more roles in that sort of avenue, and not many teams are sort of big, or even National South have all better recruitment, but a lot more sort of roles. And that was where it sort of really started. And then that from that pre-season, I spent my whole time with Jody. I'd go with him to all the player meetings, and I was going to come on to this to ask you guys, but back then, we're not hiding the fact we went from, I think it was about 600 quid when I first joined, and that season, when that season finished, when we stayed up on the last day, Gary and Steve put loads in place. They've got some really good sponsors, and the budget went to 1,500 quid. Now, 5 years ago, we'll say. So we had 1,500 quid. Now we over doubled our budget. Now, back then, budgets in our league were all pretty similar. They're not like they are now, where you've got some clubs doing outrageous stuff, more than what we're doing in the National South. They're all pretty similar. Some might have 2-2, some might have 500, but we were 1,500. We knew that we could recruit a half-decent team. So the whole aim was to keep the core of what we had, we believed that were good enough in that current team, and then had a bit more experience. So we brought in the likes who had won the league. So we brought in the likes of Luke Calendar, Bano, Hench. We kept Lewis Dark, Lewis Gobbold. So we knew from that point, we Harrison Chatting, well, all dependent on how Jody wanted to play, wanted to keep the ball, we wanted to be possession play. And obviously that season, like we sort of broke records, really. We got into the FA Cup first round, and we were the highest run.
How did the Spanish boys come about? Adai and Luque. How did they come about? Because it wasn't a scheme or something. You had a training camp or something like that at the club, or
yeah. So Gwilym, the right back at the time, he had this idea of bringing a load of Spanish boys over in the summer, and they'd have like a coaching week with JB and Glenn Little.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd play a showcase game. Now, the first year we ever did it, we advertised it all. It went out all to clubs. And, they threw in a contest and all that. And hardly anyone turned up. But the first or second night, when I went over and JB was coaching, I said, "Oh, what's it like?" He went, "Yeah, it's good, mate." And it's this boy, I really like him. He's really good. And he just happened to be a welder. You know? And when you threw him in with our signings and our team and then our core of what we kept, mate, we were a really good side. I mean, we got to the FA Cup first round. We were the highest ranked team left in the FA Trophy at the same time. The problem was we played so many cup games. We sort of play, draw, win, played, drew again, and we'd bring them back, win. And we played so many games.
To every replay possible, didn't you?
Oh, mate, it was ridiculous. And I think we played 3 games a week for about 6 weeks, something like that. And it bridged too far. We lost in the playoffs to Haringey, who were also a really good team at the end. They had like tossing Olafemi, didn't they? And Mickey and Ralston, and like they were a real good side. So yeah, really started from not wanting to get into sort of the coaching because I didn't think that was probably the route I wanted to go to. Try and do something different. Probably was very, very lucky that I met Jody at the time that I did. I went into a club that was looking to progress and build off the field and on the field. And that's where it sort of came from, really.
Yeah, so I
didn't know that. Waffled on a bit there, haven't I?
That's good, mate. That's what he's here for.
What I want to add to that is, so your current role at Concord, how do you go about in terms of going and get a player? So obviously, you and Scopesy will obviously be in discussion and the management team, but is it you who then makes an approach? Is it you who then comes with a suggestion? How does that all work?
Yeah, so like, I'd touch on that. So does Scopesy say, right, Ad, I need a left back, and then you go out and find them, or do you go, I think I've got a left back here that would improve the squad?
Bit of both, but also on that, I'm probably very, very fortunate that I don't have free reign, but more or less. So
they trust you enough to let you just crack on, sort of thing.
Yeah. So when I originally joined Concord on the summer, I brought in 2 or 3 players. Once I sort of got in, they sort of knew who I was and respected me and stuff. I brought in a couple of players and they did well. And at the end of that season, Sammy left and Mids left, and Scopesy got the top, and he said to me, "Look, you want to stay?" And I said, "Yeah, definitely. We'll give it well together." And we had one player. Everyone else left. They all left. So we had Aaron Pollock, and we had Lee Mitchell, who had half a leg, right? who wasn't really going to play. So we had one player, and he said to me, "Right, let's build a team." So we thought we would go the young, hungry route. Now, this is where I get onto my role. So sorry, I'm waffling again. Obviously, we recruited 12 boys from Bostic North. We ended the season with 11 of them, I think. But we sort of tried to go young, hungry, wanting to progress. Obviously, not money orientated because we can't do that at Concord Rangers. Like, we know where we are. And I think he was probably regretting that when we lost 5-0 to Bowers pre-season. We thought, hello, what? He's probably thinking, what are we kind of bunch of donuts? But he trusts me and I trust him. But in terms of how it works, because I'm at all the games, I speak to him probably 5-6 times a day. We're on it all the time. We've both got the same outlook of what we need and what we don't need. So at the time, if we need a left back, we both know we need a left back.
Yeah, it's not like a surprise if he said it. It wouldn't be a surprise if he goes, "Ad, you got any left backs in your phone book?"
No, because we sort of know what we need at the same time because we sit next to each other on the coach when we go to the game, so we're constantly talking about players then anyway. So I just know what we need and same as him. So yeah, I literally would throw names at him. We then narrow it down, and then I do everything. I make the approach. I sort out all the financials. We get involved with what we offer them. Sometimes he laughs when I say what we've got the player for. I look after the budget with him. So I think I'm probably very fortunate again that I've got a guy who gives me that much freedom, really. But it works, and we both trust each other. Like all the management team, we've all got our roles. You know what I mean? Like obviously Minch is assistant, and we've got Wagstaff who does all the bit of opposition and analysis and stuff, and he's given that role. So he's a good delegator, Scopesy, although he takes it sort of all under his wing. What he's very good at, he's very good at delegating. And,
what does Roachy do? Does he still just sit there and pose?
Roachy, yeah. Now Roachy's coach, who's excellent, and his plan is really good.
I had him when I first went into Holbridge. He was the first coach I appointed that me and James got in. And we said from day one, he's too good for this level. Like, we knew straight away, we was like, he's far too good for this level. Like, we was blessed. He was a major part of why we stayed up that year, because the way he just set us up and organised us and so on, he was brilliant. But at the time, he had long hair. So he was always playing with his long hair and trying to do kick-ups. And
what's that?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, why do I've got a hat on? I'm higher than mine.
Now, Roachy's brilliant. We've got a fantastic physio in Abby. She's brilliant as well. Kitman's top drawer. So we've got a real tight-knit group. And it's that word, it's trust. And I am very, very fortunate with my role. But also, going on from that, my role is to create relationships with clubs. Luckily, I deal with all the agents. So from finding a target, I literally would do everything that I can to get the player in, and so I just try and make Scopes' life as easy as possible from that side. We can concentrate on sorting out coaching and training with Roachy and doing the opposition with Waggy because he's obsessed with watching games. If we've got the game on the Saturday, Scopes will watch them 5 times on the video. I don't know how it works, to be honest with you.
I know
I'm very, very fortunate.
So, just so basically, if let's just say, for example, Scopesy does say to you, Adam, we need a centre forward. We need a centre forward. He's quite happy for you to go out and come back with a centre forward who he may not know, and just chuck him in.
Yep. We've done that with all the loans. And last year's team, and I'm not talking out of turn, he didn't know who Don Uble was. Dakari, obviously he'd seen Lamar.
Sorry to interrupt, Adam. How did it come about with Temi?
So I'd seen Temi at Waltham Forest or something like that in the senior league a couple of years ago, 17. I spoke to, I'd seen he'd got a few goals. I spoke to the boys at Romford. I spoke to Dazza. I spoke to Adam Bailey Dennis about him. We were looking for that sort of type forward at the time, and I'd seen him. He was young, he ticks the boxes. He's young, he's hungry, raw. He'd scored a few goals. I'd seen him. He posed a threat. I spoke to the boys at Haybridge when they played, and he bullied them, which I'd heard a lot about. And I knew I was going to be able to get him cheap. Which is no disrespect to the lad, but we're moving him from as an 18, 19-year-old up 2 levels.
He'd only just come to our level as well.
Do you know what? Do you know what though? Right, this is where when Darren said about getting you on the show, I wanted to sort of scratch the surface a little bit about Temi, because we played against him last season not the season just got what we're in, the season before in the FA Cup when he was at Woodford. And we got to play against him twice, and we also played him pre-season that year. So I sort of see him 3 times. I knew he was young, and this is where I would go on and say the difference between what you're doing and what a coach and what a manager's doing. And I think everyone thinks it's quite similar roles. You've got to know certain things. Now, I've got to be honest, in them 3 games, I didn't see anything from Temi. I was like, heard about him because he scored a few goals the season before, and I knew he was young, and obviously he's a big lad, and he caused problems. But then when he got the move to Concord, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. And then it was only about 6 months after we didn't have a game, and I can't remember who you was playing, and I completely forgot that Temi was playing. But a few of us went over and watched. I think you won 2-0, if I can remember rightly, and he was unbelievable, to the point where 6 months prior to that, I was thinking that move's not going to work out, to this guy could become pro. Now, did you, when you first went and saw Temi, or you was doing your recruitment, did you think that could explode to that level, or was it a little bit of a risk factor in terms of thinking, well, it's one of them ones where it may pay off, it's not going to cost me much, so it is low risk? Or was it a case of I'm going to get Temi in, he's going to come in, and he's going to do the business? Because, like I said, and I'm just being honest, at the time, and I think I've got a decent eye for talent, I didn't see that. I didn't see that from Temi. So
even when we spoke, didn't we, Drew? He's a good.
Yeah, mate, you're not the only one, Brett. I had other managers in your league texting me going, "What are you doing?" Now, I looked at Temi. Now, again, we're different at Concord Rangers, right? Believe me, we all want to go out and sign the best talent we can at our levels, right?
Yeah.
But we can't do that. So we can't go and throw 450 quid, 500 quid at players. We can't do that. So we have to recruit low down. That's what we have to do. So we looked at Temi and just thought that he had every attribute to be a success at our level. And he was 18 at the time. Now, Adam Bailey Dennis has played National South, and he's been around the level. And I talked to Ad all the time. He was at Haybridge with Jody as a coach, and we got on really well at Ads. So I still speak to him now. Now, he was a centre half as well, so he knows what a pain in the arse forward is and what isn't. And he just said, I think this boy's got all the attributes. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting Temi to come in and do probably as well as he did in those first few games, because he did do well. He probably should have scored a few more goals, to be fair to him. But I don't know if you guys know, but he actually went into Luton. So he's already had a trial at Luton. He hasn't probably hit the heights this season. I don't think anyone has, because it's stop, and he's had a few niggles. But yeah, no, I looked at Tem and I just thought he had all the attributes to do well, and he's played wide right for us. I mean, you know, the boy, he came in and he played Hemel away, and then we played Chelmsford. Now he played left of a 3. Now he was up against Danny Imre. I mean, you know, the boy who's just gone to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Emi that day bullied him and was, you know, havoc that day, just because of his stats and his size and he's quick. Now, there's lots of things that Temi needs to work on. We understand that, but that's what we have to do. We have to take these, we call them gambles and risks, and just try and make them better players. We put them into the best environment we possibly can. And I probably learned that a little bit off Jody. So we try and make our environment Premier League, right? Monday to Friday, we are Premier League. We try and do everything perfect. That's what we try and do. Only the league on the Saturday that isn't Premier League, right? But up to them, we give them the best environment. We do training vests and scope the detail on games is just outrageous. So we just felt that he probably had everything that we could coach and make him progress. His progression is probably a little bit slower this season, but we'll see next year. Hopefully, if it all gets canned and he stays. But I think he's had a. You'd be amazed how many people have asked us about him. Sunderland, I think we're watching him at one point. We've had Ipswich talk about him. I think that's just because of his size and
his raw attributes. His raw attributes.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. His raw attributes, yeah.
When the one thing I want to touch on there, you mentioned a few times there that he ticked the boxes. Do you have certain boxes that players have to tick to bring in? Might not even be technical wise. It could be their mentality or previous experiences and so on, that they sort of have to tick for you to go, yeah, he fits the mould we want at Concord.
Yeah, so what is the typical Concord player, I suppose, yeah?
Yeah, so if you're recruiting someone, what makes you look at someone and go, yeah, they're a Concord player?
Well, if they got 2 legs, they're in.
No. Don't do that. Roach will be on to you to play if you keep saying stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously, it's all dependent on the environment and the club you're at. So at Haybridge, our goals at Haybridge were far different to Concord. Our goal at Haybridge, when we were recruiting our team, I remember Jody saying to me like it was yesterday, I'd throw a name at him and he'd come back with, will he win us the league? So our outlook back then was we were recruiting a team to win the league. Now, Concord Rangers, let's be honest, we ever going to win the National South? If we do, we'd probably get a manager's job in the Premier League. It's unlikely, but so we have to go young and we have to go hungry. Now, you'll know this. We struggle because teams lower down the level have got so much money. So we can't offer. I spoke to a boy last year, no word of lies, playing step 4. He told me he was on £700 a week, right?
Oh, he plays for Darren.
Yeah, that's why are you talking about my players again, Drewy?
Daz probably knows who it is. I spoke to another lad who was on £400 a week, right? Plus bonuses. So that's really hurt us, the money that's gone into the lower levels, for sure. And are they the players that we necessarily want? So for us, obviously position specific and what we're looking for, but young, hungry, athletic is probably the 3 main things. Also, personality, mate, key.
Yeah.
Scopes will say no energy sappers. We don't want any energy sappers. We just want, and I think that's why we did so well that first season. We had 16 boys, including the loans, that were all young, hungry. They wanted to learn. They gave you their all. We had a fantastic dressing room, and there was no energy sappers. And if we did have an energy sapper, we'd get them out the door.
No, mate, you're right, especially that. So, like, our point of view, when we look to recruit, is a lot on their mentality side of things rather than their technicals. Because you think technicals-wise, you can sort of coach to a certain degree. Don't get me wrong, you've got to be at a certain level, but it's the mentality and the attitude that really makes them stand out to us when we're looking to sign players. And it sounds like yours are pretty similar, especially with because we're in a similar position in our league. Like, we can't go and compete with the big boys. Like you just said, there's a player you've just mentioned there that takes up 3/4 of our budget.
Yeah.
That plays at our level. So it's the same. And like Brett knows, he hasn't got one. He hasn't got a budget at all. So he can't go and offer.
I know how you feel at the minute. But this season, obviously, so just moving on for what you said, Brett. So last season we were clean sweep, right? We had 1 player in the door. So was it a gamble? What we did? Maybe, but we didn't think so because we thought those boys were good enough, and I think we were proved right that they were.
You got to the
this
FA
season,
I think that's proof enough.
This season, we wanted to. You always want to get better, don't you? You always want to progress. So our remit this season was: can we fill our spine with a bit more experience of the level and better players for our spine? So last season, our centre forward and our couple of midfielders were all loans. We didn't want that this year. We wanted to try and do a different route. So we just tried to find a bit more experience. Now, we were really fortunate that Wally wanted to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Wally on his day, he's one of the best strikers in the division. Now, he was desperate to come back at Concord. Now, Concord's a funny club, right? When you're in it, it's just like this massive, it just grabs you, and it's this massive family, and everyone loves it. And not many people talk badly of the club once they've been in it. Wally wanted to come back. Obviously, we had Sammy Blackman wanted to come back, who went to Dartford, and then we had Tyrone, who, again, arguably on his day, one of the best centre halves in the division. So, I think it's all dependent on what you're trying to achieve. This season was a little bit more. Let's try and would those three players through our spine nick us the wins in the tight games where we probably didn't win them last season. So that was the outlook this year. So I think it's very dependent on where you want to go. This season we thought, right, let's go a little bit more experience. Last year was all like, let's fill it with 19, 20-year-olds. Next season, don't know, we haven't decided yet.
Don't know what it's going to be either, do you? No, that's interesting, mate. Because like you said there, I think it all depends on what your aims are. That's the way you set out your aims.
We thought it's hard. You look at the league table, what we are, fifth bottom. We played 14 games. We're 8 points as playoff, but then we're only 5 points off the bottom. But we've got four games in hand. So we thought if we could add a little bit more experience through the spine, would that nick us in the playoffs? That was probably our outlook this season. Because it's hard, because where do you go from getting in the FA Trophy final? How do you better that?
Yeah, it's
how
like
do you better
trying to get to the playoffs maybe with it? Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that.
Although we had an easy road to the final that I keep getting told.
Oh, easy, mate. You could have played the youth team in some of them games, couldn't you?
Yeah. Hopefully that sort of answers the question.
That's for me.
No,
Any more?
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No, it's been that's exactly what I wanted to know, really. And I wasn't aware that you've done it basically for free as well, which is quite.
Well, he says he does,
considering obviously I do enzyme for free. I do enzyme for free, obviously, and it takes up 24 hours of your time, doesn't it? It's just.
No, you can't describe it. You cannot tell someone how much time goes into football, can you?
Yeah, and we only train once
a week. Is it like
a
part-time job? And I said, no, it's like a life. It's not even a
full-time.
No,
it's a life.
It's your
life.
Train
once a week, play on a Saturday, train once a week, and it's such a big part of your life. Whereas, obviously, with you being a lot higher, even though obviously I know I'm a manager and your role's slightly different, you would be 24 hours a day, but on a complete different level with the fact that you're going to be training a couple of times a week, travelling up and down God knows where else. And with your role, it's what you actually do outside the game is more important than what you do inside the game, because it's your role to go off and find obviously new talents and stuff like that. So your job is quite extreme, and I think obviously you enjoy it massively, and we're all proper footballing people, so for me money definitely would come second anyway, and enjoyment is what it's about. But to be at a conference, Roman North, whatever standard it is, and not to get any money and dedicate that amount of time, I just think that's incredible. I really do, and hats off to you for that, Adam. I think it's I don't know how many people do that job at that level of football. I'm not as educated on it as maybe Darren, but I don't know how many clubs have that.
You see, obviously, lots of people signing contracts and things, but do you know what? That isn't our sort of goal. I thought, the Cowleys, I think, were the same. But the club just grabs you. You look when we played one of the rounds in the trophy. I think they were interviewing Dan Cowley at Huddersfield, and he stopped the interview to watch the penalties. Yeah. It's one of those clubs that I don't know what it is. It must be our charismatic chairman.
Do you know what? This is the last question for me, and it's going on times inside that. What is your ambition, Adam? Are you looking to do what you do now at a higher level? Are you looking to break into the Football League and do something similar, or are you very much, obviously you're happy at Concord, like I get that, and are you more a case of you're satisfied where you are, you're quite happy doing what you're doing, and that's the plan, or is it more of a case of that if an opportunity come up, you want to slowly maybe progress through the leagues? What is, obviously you started off, you said that you've done a bit of Malden, you've been at Haybridge, you've drifted around, and obviously you have gone up, but from an outside perspective, and just speaking to you here, everything very much is Concord, like it should be. But is there an end goal for you? Are you actually thinking, do you know what, I would like to, ideally, of course, you'd like to go up through the leagues with Concord. That's like the same with everyone. But is it something maybe, you do want to go and get paid for this role at a higher level? You do want to make it for a living and stuff like that? Or are you more of a case of, I like my current job, I've got a great balance, I'm happy where I am? Do you know what I mean? So
it's a great question. It's a great question. I think when I started out, I never thought I'd even get to the national south level. But money's never been my motivation in football. Now I know I've said it 25 times already in this interview. Reaching the FA Trophy final at Wembley will never be taken away. Now that doesn't matter if I was an £100,000 a year or whether I was doing it for nothing. That's why we do it. Those moments and those times that we got played in those games, we got to the final, will never be taken away. That wouldn't matter how much money I was earning. They were phenomenal, and that's the reason I got involved with football. I have already been offered a job in the league above at the start of last season, and I spoke to and Bar. I am happy where I am. I do enjoy it. I think you look at Concord Rangers and you look at their rise and what they've done in the last sort of 10 years. Then you look at, even in the 2 years I've been there, what they've done to the ground and stuff like that. I mean, the ground now, from what I know, and I never went to Concord 10 years ago, but apparently it was like, no one wanted to go there. You go there now, it's lovely. You know what I mean? Like, money on the pitch, and the clubhouse is really smart. He put new stands up, the dugouts are in the ground, and he's done the car park now down, so you won't get holes and stuff. So I can't. I also think for me personally is the relationship that I've got with them. I think that probably is what makes my role so enjoyable and so good. Would I be lying to say, would I want to progress up the ladder? Yeah, I would probably love a role higher up the ladder, but it'd have to be a real good one,
What about Southend? Would you go into Southend?
100% nah.
There he is. I got it out of him. There he is.
Nah, look, I love it at Concord Rangers. I'm very, very fortunate, and it's brilliant with me, and the gaffer is. So, look, I would be lying to say, of course, being in the Football League, he's obviously the pinnacle, isn't it? And something that I could only dream of doing. But who knows? At the moment, I love my role at Concord Rangers, and I see myself staying there for hopefully a long time in Scotland, and hopefully we keep progressing. But
if you did go to Football League, you might be comfortable calling yourself elite then.
Yeah, maybe. But I speak to talking about Southend. Obviously I talked to Mark quite a bit. Obviously he was at Weymouth, so we knew him, and I didn't envy him when he took that job on.
So we played him in a friendly about 4 days after he took over at their training ground, and he's a lovely bloke. Lovely bloke.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Could tell he was just getting his teeth stuck in at the time. Like, he was still a bit all over the place and stuff like that. But no, he's a brilliant bloke. I'm quite close with Craig, the 23s gaffer. I speak to him quite regular, and obviously we've got quite a good relationship with him at Holbridge, like with Ricky.
Yeah. And that's something we obviously that is part of my role as the recruiter, to just get as many contacts as I can and relationships, and we're very fortunate at Concord. We've got some brilliant relationships with young players now. But Southend is definitely one. I've already spoke to Mark, and we've already sort of trying to come up with a plan of what we're going to do in the future. A guy that I know really well, I've been talking to Wimbledon, and just literally got the first team job today. So for us, that's
It's all about who
fantastic.
you know half the time, isn't it? It's all about who you know half the time.
Who you know, yeah, and it takes time to build these relationships, but you know they're so key, aren't they? You know,
Massive.
I know I haven't been able to help you out yet, but I'm sure those
That old
times will
chestnut.
come.
That old chestnut.
That's what it is in football, isn't it? You know,
Timing, mate. It's all timing, isn't it?
relationships key, isn't it?
Relationships and timing are the two main things when it comes to them sort of deals and stuff like that, and it's got to be the right time and so on. Well, I think we'll leave it there, chaps. We're pushing. It's been a long chat, but Adam, thank you very very much, mate.
Yeah, quality
No,
lad. Appreciate that, mate.
top man, really enjoy hour and 40 minutes talking football. What more can we want on a
Yeah, good.
Wednesday?
Exactly, especially when it's good to give everyone an insight to your role, because it's quite a unique one. You don't see many people in your role, so I'm sure there's a few people that sort of didn't have a clue what you actually did and how involved you are. So
I
thank
don't know
you.
what I do. I just do whatever role comes around. I'll just do it.
Whatever Scopesy tells you. Are you Scopes' tea boy? Is that what you are?
Yeah,
Really?
if Ant wants a bloody head of media, I'll go and get a head of media. You know, that's how it works.
Adam, thank you very very much, mate.
Thanks, Dad,
Top
mate.
man, really
Appreciate
enjoyed
that.
it. Cheers, Brett.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
Yeah, mate, bye bye.
Just want to say a huge thanks to our sponsors, Footy Solve Lotto. These guys have got a brand new concept that combines authentic sovereign coins and football memorabilia from a certain year. All you need to do with a chance to win is grab yourself a ticket. All the links to their socials are here. And if you are liking what we're doing in these videos, please like, comment, subscribe and share to all your friends so we can build up and get you much more content.